don't think we've even seen the tip of the iceberg. I think that the potential of what the internet is going to do to society, both good and bad, is unimaginable.
It's just a tool, though, isn't it?
No, it's more than that. For instance, I think in the future we'll be wasting hours and hours of our lives just watching videos of cats and dogs being adorable, and we'll share those videos with our friends, and our friends will respond not with words but with a row of little circular laughing cartoon faces, and we'll call that progress. And also, we won't be able to watch any of those videos without having to skip an advert first. And that advert will be tailored to your internet viewing habits. Although for some reason it'll always be about some disgusting oatmeal cereal that you'll never buy anyway. And we'll also spend vast portions of our time on websites called social media sites, which we will hate, but we will.
So what do you think the end goal is right there, Crow? I mean,
total control.
Right.
It's a very simple thing. Total control. Basically, what's going on in our world right now is we're seeing the rise of what I'll call the technocracy. We've never seen anything like it. The control that they'll bring to bear will be overwhelming because they have been collecting data for quite a while now. And that data gives them a time machine. Very few people understand that algorithms were written early in the 1900s that told them how to read the 21st century like a book. The difference is that back then they didn't have the data to apply it to. Now the data stream is infinite. Every day so much data is collected you couldn't calculate it if you had to. And by the way, more is on the way. And it does things, and people refuse to believe this, but it's absolutely true. I know what I'm talking about here. It does things like any person that they've collected enough data on, they can tell them when they will die, to the hour, day, place, cause, and what group of human beings that places them in. When The Winter Soldier was put out recently, one of the Marvel movies, they made fun of this. They told everyone truthfully that the 21st century is an open book. And they said, well, what's that mean? Well, it means we got these new machines that can target everyone based on their data. We can kill 1 million people at a time. And they're all, well, why would you do that? There can't be 1 million people that are enemies out there. He's all, no, you don't understand. The data also tells us that this person we're looking at today is no problem at all. But it proves that in 20 years, he probably will be. That's what data collection has done. And every bit of data is being collected. And that sets aside how social engineering works. Variety is the enemy of social engineering.
The bottom line is that the government is getting what they have ordered. They do not want your children to be educated. They do not want you to think too much. That is why our country and our world has become so proliferated with entertainments, mass media, television shows, amusement parks, drugs, alcohol, and every kind of entertainment that keep the human mind entertained, so that you don't get in the way of important people by doing too much thinking. You had better wake up and understand that there are people who are guiding your life and you don't even know it.
We're in a lot of trouble!
Now, our first question, 1 + 1. Yes.
2.
Incorrect. Yes.
Multiculturalism.
Well done, Simon. Next question, what is 3 × 3? Yes?
9.
Wrong. Yes, Penelope.
Gender equality.
Very good, Penelope.
Is this a joke?
You think gender equality is a joke?
No, but isn't this a maths class?
Don't be so racist.
I just asked a question.
We don't ask questions. Questions are offensive.
Yeah!
Now, students, I trust you've all completed your research assignments. And remember, the person with the highest mark will be flying to New York to present their paper at the World Mathematics Summit. Well done, Penelope. 6 out of 10. You too, Simon. 6 out of 10.
Hey, are Be careful. You've been staring at her for 10 seconds.
What?
It's a form of harassment to stare at a woman for more than 15 seconds straight. And when I use the term straight, I don't mean to offend any persons of a non-traditional sexual preference. And when I use the term non-traditional, I don't mean to offend any persons who oppose historically normalized...
Okay, I get it.
Unfortunately, Sunshine, your research assignment is only worth a 1 out of 10.
I've used Fourier transform and mathematical methods in electronics to analyze the electrodiagrams of at-risk patients and calculate their risk of experiencing a heart attack. I mean, it's a new method, but it could potentially save thousands of lives.
7.
You barely even read it.
You used red pen.
What?
Red is considered offensive in many religions.
Why would you belittle everything down to a singular colour? Well, humanity is a rainbow of beauty and spirituality.
Yeah. Okay, fine, 7 out of 10, but that still means I get to go to the summit, right?
The marking process isn't over yet. Now, because we live in a society based on equality, the total amount of marks are to be divided equally among our students.
You've got to be kidding me.
Well done, students. We're all equal. We're all average. Yay!
But then who gets to go to the summit?
Oh, we haven't added our privilege points yet. Don't you know anything?
That is correct. Now, Penelope, you are female, so that's +1 privilege point. However, you are white, so that's -1.
I'm also bisexual.
+1. That leaves you with a total score of 6.
The school system will never teach you about money. The school system was designed to teach you to be an employee, but never about money. What most people lack is real business knowledge, like accounting, like debt, like taxes. You got to know that stuff, but they don't teach it in school to anybody. You see, most teachers in school, they're out of ethics. They teach subjects they themselves don't practice. I had the same problem in my MBA program. I got into arguments with the marketing teacher because the guy didn't have a business. And then I got into arguments with the accounting teacher because the accounting teacher didn't know accounting. I knew more about accounting than him because I actually worked in bookkeeping in my rich dad's companies. And so I'm not an accountant, but I understand accounting. So that was the end of my school years because I understood what a fake teacher is. A fake teacher is somebody who just wants a job and they'll teach anything. They teach how to shine shoes if you pay them more money. But they really don't know what they're teaching. And that's why in life, one of the things I suggest to people, you got to find a real teacher versus a fake teacher. And a fake teacher is somebody who doesn't do what they teach. And a real teacher is doing what they teach every day. So my accountants, my attorneys, they're in it every single day. And that's how I learn, because every day I'm solving problems in my business. So I have accountants and attorneys and bankers and all these people on speed dial because I'm solving problems with my team. Our school systems are making our students weaker. So in school, they have these things called now trigger effects. So you can't, as a teacher, you can't say anything that might upset the student. They don't want anything that might jar their point of view. So if I went into school, I'd be thrown out because I threaten them. And to me, isn't school about opening your eyes and minds to new ideas? But that's now out of the system. So everybody's got to be PC, politically correct now. And it's killing us. It's killing the brains of our kids. They're going backwards. But in their minds, they're more enlightened. If I didn't have ideas that shook me, I wouldn't learn anything new. But now these trigger mechanisms, like they don't let you have peanuts anymore. So that they found out if you take peanuts away from a child, their propensity to have peanut allergy goes up. So you get out a child, you say you can't have peanuts. 17% will find out they're allergic to peanuts. But if you gave kids peanuts, only 3% would be allergic to peanuts. And that's kind of the metaphor. We're actually making our students weaker in school. I don't believe in giving to the poor. You see, people say, well, why don't you give the poor money? So the only problem with that is it just creates more poor people. You give a man a fish, you get a lot of people who want more fish, but you teach them to fish. But, unfortunately, the poor will always be amongst us, because it starts up here. It's in their words, and the words become flesh. When they say, I can't afford it or I can't do that, they become what they say. And I meet so many people, I can't afford it. You think I'm made of money? My PhD dad, he says, what do you think I am, made of money? I can't afford that. And my rich dad would say, that's why he's poor. Poor people say, I can't afford it, I can't do that, I don't have time. Because it's an escape. It's an escape. You know what I mean? It's easy to say, I can't afford it. Oh, I'm too tired. Oh, I can't go to the gym. When you could go to the gym. But no, I can't. Truth is, I'm just too lazy to go to the gym. A question opens the mind, a statement closes the mind. How can I afford it? How can I do that? What would it take? Or why should I do that? See, when you say I can't afford it, your mind shuts down and you become what you say. But the thing is that we become creatures of our own habits. And until we break the habit, we don't change. The word does become flesh. I'll never be rich. Or the favorite one is the rich are greedy. It's the poor that are greedy. If you think about it, because to be rich, you have to give something. I have to produce books and games, and I purchase real estate, I provide housing, provide jobs and all that. That's why I'm rich. But greedy people produce nothing. Oh no, it's the rich that are greedy. Well, the way you get rich is you solve other people's problems. If you could cure cancer today, you'd be a trillionaire. You'd be an instant trillionaire. Nah, I'm just too busy to work on that. I think I'll play golf instead. Poverty is passed on. It's taught in your families. And middle class is taught in families. And so the people right now who are sitting at home, who are struggling financially or worried about money or unhappy, they may be making a lot of money, but unhappy with what they're doing, it was probably taught to you. Your superego was taught, get a job, work hard, or you'll never be rich, or the rich are evil, or whatever. If you're poor, you'll always be poor. Money will disappear that fast. Just like most pro athletes, they make millions of dollars, and 65% are bankrupt 5 years later. It's because they come from poor families. Now you tell them that, they get very angry at you. It's not, it's the rich fault. It's you guys ripped me off, and government ripped me off. It's passed down genetically. That's the frightening thing. And we got to change what we teach our kids. You got to have the basic knowledge of taxes, debt, financial statements, and all that. If you don't want to learn it, I can't help you. My poor dad never wanted to learn what my rich dad was teaching me. I have bad luck too. I've had financial crashes. I've had people stab me in the back, but they're all good because I grow from it. People who are afraid of making mistakes, like they teach in school, they don't ever grow. Most people only want to be right. Well, you can't have that. That's not reality. Every time I failed, it was like, good. I said, okay, what have I learned? And the average person, the reason they're poor is they haven't failed. They play it so safe. They haven't made any mistakes like they taught in school. That means they don't learn anything. That's why the school system's actually fundamentally corrupt. It's anti-education. Don't make mistakes and don't ask for help. If I didn't ask for help, I have my accountants, my attorneys, my bankers, and all that. I go into business like a rugby team. But the average guy is standing there, oh, I'm an A student, I'm going to do this all on myself. And a bunch of rugby players run you over, and you go, well, they're not playing fair. Yeah, well, you're playing stupid. You should have a team. You should have accountants, attorneys, and bankers and all that stuff. But that's not the game I want to play. I said, then don't play the game. The game of business is played with accountants, attorneys, bankers, hate to say it, politicians. You got to know the game. So what I say to young people is, you find your game. So my game financially is business, number one. Second is real estate. And that's why I pay no taxes. That's why Trump pays no taxes. Legally, it is a combination of business and real estate that gives us an unfair advantage over employees because they don't know what to do. So in other words, there's three things. There's appreciation, amortization, and depreciation. So the way guys like Trump and Kushner and the rich guys do it, is called the McDonald's formula of business. So McDonald's has a business, right? They have a hamburger stand. And when you interview Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, he gave the formula away. The business of McDonald's is not hamburgers. The business of McDonald's is real estate. And that's the formula. So every time you go past a McDonald's stand, oh, you deserve a break today, eat at McDonald's. But they're not seeing the real game. The game is that little hamburger stand is buying the most expensive real estate in the world. So today, McDonald's owns more real estate than the Catholic Church. But the rich are evil and all that. They just can't see it. So I have the Rich Dad Company. So let's say I make $1 million. I don't want to pay tax on that. So I take that $1 million, instead of spending it on something stupid, I buy a piece of real estate. So let's say for $5 million. So I go from $1 million to $5 million. Then I appreciate, depreciate, and amortize that $5 million, and it offsets my $1 million in tax. And when I speak to average people, they go, it's the law. It's available to everybody in every country and all over the world. And I travel all over the world, and they go, oh, it's good for you in America, but you can't do it here. And I say, see the McDonald's? Yeah, he's doing it. No, they're not doing it. I said, you know how much, McDonald's is not on cheap real estate. But the average person is so blinded because they went to school and they were taught by poor people, and it's handed down for generations. And that's what Trump and I and Naomi Prinz and Jim Rickards and I are trying to break.
Put it starkly, should we abolish universities? Or
No, they'll do that themselves.
Okay. Let's hear a little bit about what they've done that you think renders them beyond forgiveness.
Well, they're overwhelmingly administratively top-heavy. And they don't spend any more money on the faculty than they did 30 years ago. And the cost of that administrative top-heaviness, which is well documented, not by me, by other people, and it's been that way, it's been accelerating over the last 20 years, has been a radical increase in tuition fees, especially compared to the radical decrease in price of most things over the last 20 years. And this is especially true in the United States. The way that's been managed is that unsuspecting students are given free access to student loans that will cripple them through their 30s and their 40s. And the universities are enticing them to extend their carefree adolescence for a 4-year period at the cost of mortgaging their future earnings in a deal that does not allow for escape through bankruptcy. So it's essentially a form of indentured servitude. There's no excuse whatsoever for that. It means the administrators have learned how to pick the future pockets of their students. And because they also view them in some sense as sacred cash cows and fragile, let's say, because you might wonder why the students are being treated like they're so fragile. It's like, well, we don't want them to drop out now, do we? And we can't, if they drop out, then we don't get our hands on their future earnings in a way that they can't escape from. And that cripples the economy because the students come out overladen with debt that they'll never pay off right at the time when they should be at the peak of their ability to take entrepreneurial risks. So they can't do that because they're too crippled by debt. And so that's absolutely appalling. They're gerrymandering the accreditation processes so that the degree no longer has its credible value. They're enabling the activist disciplines, which have zero academic credibility whatsoever in my estimation, and I'm perfectly willing to defend that claim. And by enabling the activist disciplines, they're allowing for the distribution of this absolutely nonsensical view that Western society is fundamentally a patriarchal tyranny, which is absurd on at least 5 dimensions of analysis, but is becoming increasingly the thing you have to believe if you're allowed to speak in public. Well, that's what else? That's
the problem, is that certainty that you know what's right and you're going to go ahead and force your will on other people. That's where most of the evil in the world comes from. And then when those people get leveraged and they have a lot of power, money, and influence to force and impose their will on the world, ugly stuff happens.
Right. So do you think we can improve on that as a whole, as a humanity? if we educate people, something that would be like a cultural norm to educate people that there is no such thing as I know best. There is no
how would
such
you
thing as
educate
I
them
can
though?
impose my. What's that?
That's see, like here's the tricky part though, is like how do you educate them though? How do you convince them that what you're saying is education and knowledge and not what's being disseminated through the power structure and the hierarchy, right? Because
That's a good point.
the system is designed to make people dependent on the system, right? Once you go through there and you say you get a college education and a job and all that kind of stuff, you're now dependent on the system to feed your family. If that's the role that you've accepted, you need everything to keep working the way that it is, right? Any changes, any dramatic changes to the system, right? If we all, have a revolution or just stop participating in nonsensical bullshit, if we all do that, then the whole system is destabilized and there goes your ability to feed your family. So now those people who are dependent on the system want to preserve the system. And that's what the education indoctrination system does, is it creates people who are dependent and integral parts of the system.
जितनी स्विट्जरलैंड की टोटल पॉपुलेशन है उससे ज्यादा इंडिया इंजीनियर्स प्रोड्यूस कर देता है। उसके बाद भी रिसर्च एंड इनोवेशन में स्विट्जरलैंड नंबर 1 पे है। इंडिपेंडेंस के बाद से रिपब्लिक ऑफ इंडिया ने 0 नोबेल लॉरिएट्स प्रोड्यूस किए इन साइंस। यूएसए ने 100 प्लस कर दिए। ASER की रिपोर्ट के हिसाब से 83% एजुकेटेड इंडियंस एम्प्लॉयबल ही नहीं है। और ये जो सुंदर पिचाई सत्या नदेला की हम बात करते हैं, इन्होंने भी आगे चल के अपनी एजुकेशन बाहर से ही करी है। और ये सारी चीजें जो मैं बोल रहा हूँ ना, इसका रूट कॉज फाइंड आउट करने के लिए हमें थोड़ा सा पीछे जाना पड़ेगा। जब ब्रिटिशर्स हम पे रूल कर रहे थे तो ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी के सामने 2 मेजर चैलेंजेस थे। एक कम्युनिकेशन विद इंडियन, दूसरा वर्कर्स और क्लर्क्स की बहुत जरूरत थी उन्हें। फिर थॉमस बेविंगटन मैकॉय ने हमें इंग्लिश एजुकेशन एक्ट ऑफ 1835 दिया, जिससे उनके दोनों पर्पस पूरे हुए। पहला, उनको बंदे चाहिए थे जो चुपचाप डेस्क पे बैठे, अपना काम करें, क्वेश्चंस ना करें और ज्यादा क्रिएटिव ना हो। सेकंड, कम्युनिकेशन इन इंग्लिश। इंग्लिश सबसे ज्यादा बोले जाने वाली लैंग्वेज नहीं है, उसके बाद भी इंग्लिश एक लैंग्वेज की बजाय एक क्लास बन गया इंडिया में। रशिया, चाइना, फ्रांस, ये सब जगह इतना ऑब्सेशन नहीं है इंग्लिश को लेके जितना इंडिया में है। पुअर कम्युनिकेशन बोला जाता है अगर आपकी इंग्लिश अच्छी नहीं है, जबकि इंग्लिश ना आने का मतलब है कि आपको कोई और लैंग्वेज आती है। 5 साल पुराना iOS भी आज की डेट में आउटडेटेड माना जाता है। लेकिन इतनी इंपॉर्टेंट चीज, हमारा एजुकेशन सिस्टम आज भी बस थोड़े से चेंजेस के साथ ऐसे ही चल रहा है। हमारे एजुकेशन सिस्टम में रटने का कंपटीशन होता है, जो ज्यादा रट लेता है उसके ज्यादा मार्क्स आते हैं। अब 95% जिसके संस्कृत में आए हैं वो भी संस्कृत नहीं बोल पा रहा है। और बेसिक हिस्ट्री होने की बजाय इतनी मोटी मोटी किताबें हैं हिस्ट्री की जिसका कोई मतलब नहीं है। अगर आज की डेट में आपको कुछ भी पता करना, आप गूगल से पता कर लो, उसके लिए आपको याद करने की जरूरत नहीं है इतना कुछ। और ये गवर्नमेंट स्कूल में हर क्लास में इंग्लिश का सब्जेक्ट है। 12-12 साल लगाने के बाद भी लोग इंग्लिश नहीं बोल पा रहे हैं, और बिना किसी बुक को पढ़े 5 साल का बच्चा सीख लेता है, क्योंकि उसको वैसा एनवायरनमेंट मिल जाता है। A+B का होल स्क्वायर इज इक्वल टू A² + B² + 2AB। इसका रियल लाइफ में क्या यूज है किसी को नहीं पता, न प्रिंसिपल, न टीचर, न बच्चे, बस पढ़ाई चले जा रहे हैं। हो सकता है इसका कुछ मतलब हो, लेकिन आप ट्राई करके देख लेना, किसी को नहीं पता। हाँ, 2AB की जगह अगर आपने 3AB बोल दिया तो 4 लोग हंसने वाले मिल जाएंगे आपके ऊपर। किंडरगार्टन में जो बच्चों को सिखाने के लिए टेक्निक यूज होती है वो लाख गुना अच्छी है कॉलेज की वो रटने वाली टेक्निक से। और जिन बच्चों के बहुत ज्यादा नंबर आते हैं, जो वो छुपा छुपा के एग्जाम में लिखते हैं, आप देखोगे जब वो रियल लाइफ में जाते हैं ना तो ज्यादातर क्रम्बल करते हैं। हर किसी को सेम सिलेबस और सेम चीज सिखाई जाती है बिना उसकी कैपेबिलिटी देखे, और क्रिएटिविटी का तो दूर दूर तक मतलब नहीं होता। अब एक लाइन से आप शेर, मछली, सांप, हाथी सबको लाइन से खड़ा कर दो और उनसे कहो पेड़ पे चढ़ो, उनको तो जिंदगी भर यही लगेगा ना कि वो तो किसी काबिल ही नहीं है। और द्रोणाचार्य ने भी पांडवों को उनकी स्किल सेट के हिसाब से उनको चीजें सिखाई, सबको एक ही चीज नहीं सिखाती। और हमारे एजुकेशन सिस्टम में ज्यादा ऑप्शंस भी नहीं है। सबसे ऊपर साइंस, फिर कॉमर्स, और सबसे नीचे जाके कहीं नंबर आता है आर्ट्स का। आर्ट लेने वाले को तो लोग इतना हल्के में लेते हैं जैसे वो किसी काम का ही नहीं है। हर माँ बाप को तो इंजीनियर या डॉक्टर ही बनाना है। कॉलेज वाले अगर एक्स्ट्रा कोर्स रख भी देते हैं तो माँ बाप एंट्री नहीं कराएंगे, तो वो सारा पैसा बर्बाद होगा कॉलेज का। तो ऑप्शंस कहाँ से आएंगे? और बचपन से ही आपकी ट्रेनिंग स्टार्ट हो जाती है। माँ बाप, भाई बहन, रिलेटिव सब ये समझाते हैं अगर आपके मार्क्स नहीं आए और जॉब नहीं लगी तो आपकी ज़िंदगी बेकार है। और लाइफ की क्रिएटिविटी को आप रखते हो साइड में, और ये अच्छे मार्क्स और अच्छी जॉब पाना आपका सपना बन जाता है। अब ये सपना पूरा हो जाता है तो बहुत बढ़िया है, दूसरे को जेलस फील कराओगे, नीचा फील कराओगे। और इस छोटी सी उम्र में अगर सपना टूट जाता है तो सेल्फ डाउट में आ जाओगे। इतना बाहर वाले आपको नीचा नहीं समझेंगे जितना आप खुद की नजर भी 4-5 सक्सेसफुल आदमियों के बारे में सोच के देखिए जिन्हें आप बहुत सक्सेसफुल मानते हो या जिनकी तरह लाइफ आप जीना चाहते हो। मैं ये कह सकता हूँ कि वो इस एजुकेशन सिस्टम की वजह से तो सक्सेसफुल नहीं होंगे, चाहे वो जो भी हो। धीरू भाई अंबानी, विराट कोहली, आमिर खान, नरेंद्र मोदी, ये सब हमारे इस करंट एजुकेशन सिस्टम के ट्रैप में नहीं फंसे। इन्होंने खुद सीखा, खुद एजुकेट हुए और खुद आगे बढ़े। किसी कंपनी के सीईओ को अगर ये कहा जाए कि आप अपनी कंपनी के सारे डिपार्टमेंट में इंटरव्यू दीजिए, तो कोई गारंटी नहीं है कि वो सारे डिपार्टमेंट के इंटरव्यू निकाल लेगा। और ये भी हो सकता है कि वो आधे से ज्यादा डिपार्टमेंट के लिए क्वालिफाई ना करें एजुकेशन वाइज, लेकिन वो पूरी कंपनी चला सकता है। तो ये जो एक स्किल है, इसके बारे में बात क्यों नहीं होती? लोग अपनी 25% से ज्यादा जिंदगी इस करंट एजुकेशन सिस्टम में लगा देते हैं ताकि अपने से कम पढ़े लिखे आदमी की कंपनी में जाके उसके सपने पूरे कर सके। इंडिया का जो करंट एजुकेशन सिस्टम है, अगर वो इतना ही अच्छा है तो जो भी सेलिब्रिटीज हैं, पॉलिटिशियंस हैं, वो अपने बच्चों को बाहर क्यों भेज रहे हैं पढ़ने के लिए? इनफैक्ट पॉलिटिशियंस के साथ तो ऐसा करना चाहिए, जिस एरिया से वो जीते हों उसी एरिया के गवर्नमेंट कॉलेज में उनके बच्चे को पढ़ना कंपलसरी हो जाए, तभी वहां के गवर्नमेंट कॉलेज सुधर सकते हैं। 368 प्यून की जॉब के लिए 1.5 लाख ग्रेजुएट और 24,968 पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट ने अप्लाई किया। मैं IAS PCS की तो बात नहीं करता हूँ, वो तो एक पैशन की बात होती है, लेकिन कुछ लोग 5-5, 6-6 साल से तैयारी कर रहे हैं कि कोई भी गवर्नमेंट जॉब मिल जाए। उनसे पूछोगे क्यों ऐसे इतने टाइम से लगे हुए हो, तो वो एक ही चीज बोलेंगे कि जॉब सिक्योर है। मतलब आप काम नहीं भी करोगे तो आपको निकाला नहीं जाएगा। ये सारी कामचोरी वाली बातें माइंड में इसीलिए आती हैं क्योंकि हमारा जो करंट एजुकेशन सिस्टम है वो इतना कॉन्फिडेंस ही नहीं देता है कि हम अपनी स्किल के दम पे कहीं जाके काम करें और हमें निकलने का डर ना हो। मैं आने वाले 10 साल की तो बात ही नहीं कर रहा हूँ, अगर मैं आने वाले 5 साल की भी बात करूं तो टेक्नोलॉजीज में इतना ज्यादा चेंजेस आ जाएगा कि जो आज हम पढ़ रहे हैं, जिस स्किल पे हम फोकस कर रहे हैं, पता नहीं वो रेलेवेंट भी होगी कि नहीं उस समय। क्लाउड कंप्यूटिंग, SEO, डिजिटल मार्केटिंग, ये सब जॉब्स पहले एग्जिस्ट ही नहीं करती थी। हम लोगों को एजाइल होना पड़ेगा, नई नई चीजों को सीखने के लिए ओपन रहना पड़ेगा, क्रिएटिव माइंड लगाना पड़ेगा।
4 लाख बच्चा पाकिस्तान में बिजनेस ग्रेजुएट निकल रहा है। दुख के साथ आपको बता रहा हूं, उन 4 लाख में से एक बच्चा भी नहीं है जो बिजनेस कर सके। आज सुबह एक मेरे सामने बच्चा बैठा है, एक सॉफ्टवेयर हाउस में जॉब करता है, मैट्रिक एजुकेशन, 8 साल से उसकी जो एक्सपर्टी है वो बड़ा अच्छा डेवलपर है, 1.25 लाख रुपए उसकी सैलरी थी। मैंने कहा यार तुम मैट्रिक हो, तुम्हारी 1.25 लाख रुपए सैलरी कैसे? कहता है सर मुझे सीखने का शौक था, मैंने सारा काम हैंड ऑन एक्सपीरियंस, टकरे मार मार के उस्तादों से, मुर्शिदों से, मेंटोर से, कोई इकोसिस्टम नहीं है, कोई वर्क प्लेस नहीं मिली और सीखते सीखते मैं इस काबिल हो गया हूं कि मैं मैट्रिक हूं लेकिन मेरी सैलरी 1.25 लाख।
Children have that natural inclination. I know for me, I felt connected to words and writing when I was very, very, very young. And the education system ruins it. It makes you so distracted. You lose that confidence. You no longer are able to hear that voice. I call it a voice that's inside of you, that's drawing you towards this particular subject. People, teachers, the system is saying, you need to study math, you need to study this, you need to study that, be good at this, this, and this, pass tests, get into the right school. And you get to the point where you're 18, 19, 20 years old, and you lose touch with who you are, what makes you different, what makes you unique, what you love in life. So really, when you get out of school, it's like, get rid of all that crap they put you in and try and get in touch with who you are and create a career path for yourself that suits who you are.
How often do we see at school though, the school hero actually in life doesn't always do that brilliantly? And why is that? It's because they've got, schools rewarded that, but they've never tested this. Where little Johnny, who doesn't have that, doesn't get the awards, is a linesman, brings on the oranges, whatever it is, struggles, doesn't even get noticed, never wins anything, but never gives up and keeps doing his best and still doesn't really get noticed, but doesn't matter. But when he leaves school, this might not be the biggest thing, but this is like ninja-like. That resilience muscle inside is strong. And as you know, and as I know, in life, that's the one that is going to carry you further. And the unseen people at school often do better in life. It's like, don't peak too early. Don't peak at 4.
I was thinking about how long I was in school for. I was in school like 15, 20,000 hours in my life. And I came out of school broke, knowing nothing. That actually pisses me off when I think about it. Because I could have mastered 2 different things. Said I knew nothing. A lot of kids could master from age 10 to 20 instead of going to school. I don't know how you feel in school. The stuff they teach is just frustrating. You know what I mean? I've learned nothing about taxes, nothing about wealth, nothing about confidence.
The reason they teach you calculus and algebra and shit like that so you don't get caught in calculus season. die. They don't teach anything that has to do with the real world. I dropped out of school in 11th grade, 16 years old.
I almost wish I would have done that.
We're qualifying and graduating matrics today. They're coming out of our public schooling system with a maths literacy, and we're saying to them, if you get a 33% pass mark, it's math literacy, you are equivalent to the world's demands of labor. For those of you who wonder, Uma Lucy has done the research on this. A 33% pass rate in maths literacy by today's standard is equal to what was in my day, grade 9, standard grade mathematics, 41%. So just to be clear, the overwhelming majority of South Africans going to the public schooling system, who are overwhelmingly what race, are coming out of a public schooling system that says to them, you can go into the world of work and not have the ability to construct a complex algebraic equation, and we deem it that you are fit for the world of work. But wait, someone needs to explain this to me. I swear the education department is run by black people, I swear.
Despite some of the outstanding people in our school, the lack of a real student government, combined with the authoritative attitude that a few teachers, administrators, and board members have, prevents students from truly developing as leaders. Hopefully, this will change. Hopefully, for the sake of future students, more people in this school who do not do so.
I quoted the Trilateral Commission view of the educational system, namely it's a system of indoctrination of the young. And I think that's correct. It's a system of indoctrination of the young. That was the way the liberal elites regard it, and they're more or less accurate. So the educational system is supposed to train people to be obedient, conformist, not think too much, do what you're told, stay passive, don't cause any crises of democracy, don't raise any questions, and so on. That's basically what the system is about. Even the fact that the system has a lot of stupidity in it, I think, has a function. You know, it means that people are filtered out for obedience. If you can guarantee lots of stupidity in the educational system, you know, like stupid assignments and things like that, you know that the only people who will make it through are people like me and like most of you, I guess, who are willing to do it no matter how stupid it is, because we want to go to the next step, you know. So you may know that this assignment is idiotic and the guy up there couldn't think his way out of a paper bag, but you'll do it anyway because that's the way you get to the next class, and you want to make it and so on and so forth. Well, there are people who don't do that, you know. There are people who say, I'm not going to do it, it's too ridiculous, you know. Those people are called behavioral problems, or something like that. They end up in the principal's office or in the streets or selling drugs or whatever. And all of this is a technique for selection for obedience. And I don't know how to prove this, but I have a feeling that when you go to the elite universities, you find more obedience and conformity, probably because you're getting the students who were better able to do it.
Books provide information, but information is not knowledge. My kickboxing coach used to say to me, there's one way to learn a lesson. The hard way. I can't play piano, you can't play piano. There's a piano here. I sit there and start trying to play piano by myself, just pressing keys, fucking around, trying to get stuff that sounds good, fucking around with the pedals, whatever. Another guy sits there and only reads a book about piano and doesn't touch the piano. In 6 months, who will be able to play piano better, me or him? Me, because I've been doing things while he's been reading things. Reading isn't real life. All the time you spend reading, if you were to fuck it off and spend living, you would learn more, if you did the right things. The problem is with most of you dorks, you're either broke or you're lazy, so if you throw reading away, then what you're gonna do is just watch TV. You're not gonna do anything. But if you were to actually go living instead, you'd learn things. I think the only reason people read nowadays anyways is because it's an easy way to gain some kind of bragging rights. It's bragging rights without pain, it's bragging rights without danger. Hey, you seen all these books I read? You sat still and you turned pages. Like, if I'm gonna brag about shit I did which others can't do. Dangerous things that takes balls. Because the current education system is read. It's not do, it's read. And that's why most people who come out of school can't do shit.
The school system were designed to make you obedient, not education.
It's outdated globally.
It's outdated globally.
The internet made it outdated because information is a commodity
And the school system was built on memorization of information. Why do I have to do any math? I have a calculator on my iPhone that can give you any math. I don't need to know anything. I can ask Siri and Alexa in 2 seconds, they'll give me the answer. You know, who cares about the periodic table when I can tell you what, like it's so uncomfortably outdated globally because it's predicated on memorization of information in a world where we have information at our fingertip within a second for zero cost. The whole thing's dead.
How do we fix it?
It's the parents' responsibility. It's the parents' responsibility to not buy into the self-esteem wrapped up in your child going to a top university. We don't need to boil the ocean. Parents need to make sure their kids are happy. If we all collectively actually gave a crap about the happiness of our children, it would fix itself. Unfortunately, we care more about the judgment of our contemporaries about what our children are accomplishing more than caring about our children. This is an issue of modern day parenting and insecurity and keeping up with the Joneses, not a school system problem.
Caring what other people think.
It is the devastation of our society.
Yeah, because so many people watching this will be like, no, you need a university degree. You need that to fall back on. What do you
Fall back on what?
Yeah.
Every company's not requiring a degree to get hired anyway. The greatest companies in the world, Amazon, Google, are no longer requiring a degree anyway. So what are you falling back on? Now, you know, that's like saying you need to keep a horse on hand in case the car doesn't work. It's ludicrous.
It is ludicrous.
It is ludicrous.
Yeah.
And it's completely predicated on the framework that the parent grew up with, and more importantly, the judgment that their parents are putting on them or how they want to keep up with everybody else. Because the people that they eat dinner with at the country club on Sunday night, their daughter's going to the big university and it's just ludicrous. It is sad. I'm a byproduct of parents that were strong enough to not care about what other people thought, which is why I'm happy. And I would like to use what the gift my parents gave to me as something that I communicate to the world, hopefully inspiring one parent to give that gift to their child.
Yeah, what do you say to that entrepreneur, that young entrepreneur at school, hating school, wanting to leave school, but has to stay at school? What do you say to them?
Enjoy the vacation because you're going to work the rest of your life. 2, don't be a hypocrite. If you're such a tough guy or gal, stop taking mommy and daddy's money. If you're such an entrepreneur, go buy your own iPhone. Start practicing now. The quicker a child gets off a parent's payroll, the more likely they will be happy in life. I read a business book in my life. I've written 5. I think education comes in a lot of forms. I've not read business books because that's not how I learn. It's not how my brain works.
Did you ever have coaches?
No.
Do you believe in mentors, coaches?
I believe in mentors if that's how you learn. This is a self-awareness game. I didn't have mentors and didn't read books, not because I want to have an ego and act cool. It's just that's not how I learn. So I started an agency. I was an early investor in Facebook and Twitter and Uber and Tumblr. I could have raised $300 million and had a VC firm and made tons of money just by taking meetings and hoping I hit another lotto ticket. I'm doing it because the way I learn is by doing. And so the reason I have Chase and Budweiser and Pepsi as clients is by doing the work. I've now learned how those things operate. That's how I learn. I think education matters, but I don't think it comes in the form. I think we make things literal. And I think we have to be self-aware of who we are to put ourselves in the best position to succeed.
Let me read this quickly. If you were lent $100,000 in cash.
Slow it down. Don't read it quickly. Slow it down. Listen to this carefully. I want everyone to listen to this. This is a very important life philosophy for you younger guys out there as well, thinking of going to university. Just hear me out. Hear them out.
Listen, if you were lent $100,000 in cash for any purpose on the planet you wanted, and education had to convince you that their service was worth $100,000, they would monumentally fail. The scam is that you can only access the lent money for education. So you don't evaluate the true value of said education / money. The cash exists in a vacuum with no investment competition. The 100K of education is not compared to 100K of crypto or 100K of real estate or starting your own business because the other options are not available with the money. If they were, in a fair market, education would fail to struggle any investors at all. If you could take 100 grand and invest in anything you wanted, nobody would choose education because everybody knows the ROI is so low. There are so many better options.
sexually abusive. He's an ancient institution that has outlived his usage. So, Your Honor, this concludes my opening statement, and if I may present the evidence of my case, I will prove it.
Proceed.
Exhibit A. Here's a modern day phone. Recognize it? Here's a phone from 150 years ago. Big difference, right? Stay with me. Here's a car from today, and here's a car from 150 years ago. Big difference, right? Well, get this. Here's a classroom of today, and here's a class we used 150 years ago. Now ain't that a shame? In literally more than a century, nothing has changed. Yet you claim to prepare students for the future? But with evidence like that, I must ask, do you prepare students for the future or the past? I did a background check on you and let the record show that you were made to train people to work in factories, which explains why you put students in straight rows, nice and neat, tell them sit still, raise your hand if you want to speak, give them a short break to eat, and for 8 hours a day, tell them what to...